Hello everybody, thank you for checking out my channel. Today I'm gonna give you my point of view on the video game industry and what I think about the gaming industry as a whole in this day and age 2016. These are my many counsels that I have. Now forgive me for changing my accent. I'm being a little bit over dramatic. I'm trying to talk not like my regular voice. I usually have a deep voice. I sound like a moron. And I'm trying not to stutter, say a million times. I'm trying to sound educated, professional. So I'm trying not to discriminate. I'm not going to discriminate anybody because I am not professional myself. I'm just your average middle-class person who works part-time. And I'm struggling to live in an economy. My whole life I have tried to keep up with the video game industry. Now I'm going to give you my point of view, my retrospect, my perspective on the video game community. This is the consoles that I owned. I have a GameCube, PlayStation 2, Wii, Sega Genesis, Nintendo 64, the original PlayStation, and a Sega Dreamcast. These are all the many consoles I gotten over the last 20 years. But I could say honestly that the one that I had and that it recently died on me, I had this machine since I was 16 years old, the PlayStation 2. My sister got it when she worked at Sonic Drive-In. She saved her money and she bought me this machine. And it was a surprise. The PlayStation 2 was one of the consoles that changed my video game life. But the video game community as a whole nowadays doesn't interest me very much, and that's what I want to talk about, the video game industry. Now, I don't have an Xbox because, not to hate on Xbox, not to be a hater, I've never been a fan of Xbox ever since in 2004, 2002. I played Halo 2, I didn't like the clunky control, the Xbox didn't have an appeal to me. Now, I'm not a fan of first-person shooters or American games too much. Not to be a hater, I usually like video games. I like all sorts of video games. And now I'm not a completionist in any way. I haven't completed many games, but I could tell you I played some of the most well-known video games, mainstream video games that were ever created ever in this society that we live in, the most popular games. And unfortunately, here in the Western culture, we don't receive some of the greatest games ever created. We usually get, but nowadays we do. We live in a more advanced time where video games have evolved. Now this is my box, famously known as the retro game box. Now I don't have a million games like most YouTubers have. People have tons of video games and they probably don't play them. I buy games so I could play them and finish them. You know, I became a collector naturally because I naturally just never sold any games. I didn't like the idea of selling games at GameStop or Game Crazy or whatever game stores you had, EB Games, you know. I never sold my games. And I naturally just became a collector. I'm not a big time collector, but it's a hobby of mine. I collect games just for fun. Now this is my retro game box, and as you can see I have some old SNK games, old cartridges like Gauntlet 2. I even have this Willow game, if you ever seen that movie with Val Kilmer. It's a Capcom game, and I even have the original Duck Hunt and Mario, which many people remember. When my first Nintendo, this was my only game I ever owned. And this is my first introduction to Mario Bros. Now, looking at the game industry these days, I'm not too happy with it. It doesn't appeal to me. PlayStation 4, you know, PlayStation 4, Microsoft, Xbox One, you know, everything is becoming digital now, downloadable. Nintendo NX, I don't even know where Nintendo's going. I don't keep up with the video game industry anymore, but you know, the retro scene is playing the games that I grew up with are more appealing to me, and I rather play Super Mario Bros, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man. I rather play games from the days of long gone, because those were the memories that I was most fond of, and those were the memories I loved. Now, the Sega Genesis always had a cool design to me. I used to have this when I was a kid. I used to play Sonic the Hedgehog, and I always wanted to get one. I didn't get one till maybe 2015. I had this 64 since I was a kid. I've owned it for many years. You know, me and my girlfriends, we still play Legend of Zelda. We like playing Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, legendary games that are very well known in the video game community, like Pokemon Stadium. I own all those games. I own about 20 or so games. I don't know how many games I own for 64. I want to expand my collection for it because this console was one of the funnest game consoles. I used it a lot. I had about 3 Nintendo 64s in my house at one time. I had 4 of them. I had a friend of mine named John Hill who stole my green see-through Nintendo 64. I had Resident Evil 2 and GoldenEye. And those were some of my most favorite games ever for the Nintendo 64, and they got stolen, but I still have my original. The PlayStation 1 was originality, and I played it to... I used to have one that didn't belong to me. I played it until I played Final Fantasy VII so much on it that it broke. Now, recently my PlayStation 2 died. After almost 10 years, the video card finally messed up. And it broke my heart a little bit because I thought this was one of the coolest machines that I ever seen. You know, it still looks awesome. And I remember being so excited to see it. The GameCube was amazing, but it didn't have much appeal to me back then. But Super Smash Bros. Melee and Mario Kart Double Dash were some of the most amazing games I ever played on it. And I got to play Star Fox Assault on it, and that was an amazing game. I recently got a Sega Dreamcast. I actually got 2 of them because, I don't know, I'm stupid. And I got 2 of them, but, you know, I'm going to have a backup. I have a small collection for it now. You know, I rather play these games over new games any day. Because the new games, they're too realism. The realism factor, I remember when I used to play Nintendo 64, I used to think they were going to create games that looked like television. And naturally, now we have games like that. We have like Heavy Rain, and you know, we have Naughty Dog making games like The Last of Us and Beyond, or you know, people love playing Dark Souls, and I hear about all these other games, Elder Scrolls, and all those mainstream games just don't have an appeal to me. I rather play 2D platformers, honestly. I rather play multiplayer games like Super Smash Bros. Melee. I rather play fighting games. One of the main reasons I got a PlayStation 2 because it had many good fighting games. Now I can be showing my whole video game collection in this video, but I'm gonna save that for another video. I know I put all my video games in a binder now because you know I'm not, you know, I don't really care to. Now I'm just going to give you a brief look. I'm not going to go through every game, but I put all my games in binders now because honestly, the games are meant to be played. They're not meant to be and I don't care about boxes so much because, you know, they're meant to be played. They take up space, boxes. So I came with this unoriginal idea. Many people probably done it. I put games in binders. I take care of my games. I put good homes for them. I make good homes for them. You know, I use most of my games. I try to play most of them. And if I collect games, I want to play them eventually. I want to experience. I buy games to want to experience them. You know, games are like works of art to me. They are works of art. You know, a group of people put a lot of time in creating them. And I haven't beaten too many games in my career. I maybe have like 8 platinum trophies on PlayStation 3. I complete a couple of games, but honestly, playing games just to platinum takes out the experience to me. And there's many gamers who play games just for that fact. And it takes away the experience. You know, gaming wasn't meant to be. I used to play games like GTA 3, you know, Final Fantasy, doing everything you're not supposed to do. I used to explore and do things like that. And I got to experience some of the most amazing Squaresoft games like Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy X. I got to experience Metal Gear Solid, Chrono Trigger, some of the most amazing games in the generation. Final Fantasy VII. And, you know, I'm going to talk about more about this in the next video because there's so much to talk about the video games. They changed my life. I've been a gamer most of my life. And if you experience any of these consoles, there's probably one that you hold most precious to you. You have more. And for me, it was the PlayStation because it was one of the best-selling consoles ever. But thank you for watching. I have more to talk about and more to share with you.